Hello everyone, this is Shamsi and today we're building the Armored B, the PvP version of the interplanetary mining ship. Now, have I got enough components to just straight away try to make the PvP version of this? Wrong container. Here we go. So I have hovercraft seat. I mean, that'll do. You can fly interplanetary ships with a hovercraft seat. It doesn't need to be a command module. Have a second resurrection node. Got medium stabilizers. Yep. Got fuel tanks. Yep. Adjusters, vertical boosters, medium. I only have 3. I have large rocket brakes. Yeah. Oh, there we go. 6 vertical boosters. Yeah, and I think we have enough to just start trying to build the PvP appropriate version of this. So let's carry this ship out of the way. I'm sorry. Forgive me. I manhandled you. There we go. Now, in an extra small core, we have half the amount of space to work with, but we still want to fit all of this stuff in it, plus the honeycomb, plus the radar, which I don't have, which we need to get. So it's gonna look, if this looks like it's freshly squeezed from a canine sphincter, that's gonna look like it's been freshly squeezed and then chewed up from a canine sphincter. It's gonna look really bad. Things are gonna make no sense. There are gonna be wings floating out in the middle of nowhere, but it'll be incredibly functional and it'll be incredibly safe. So, declare this as my linked container and put one of the large containers in it. Right. Let's go. So, before we start, let's have a bit of a theory about what we're doing with the ship in terms of our active defenses. Now, NovaCorp have said this is pretty much going to be the most difficult time in the game's history to be a hauler in space. PvP players want to shoot stuff, and this is a PvP game. It's entirely appropriate and fine for them to shoot stuff when they can find them. So it's not about getting salty that you're an unarmed hauler. Why is someone killing you? Someone is spending a lot of money and a lot of time just hovering out in space looking for someone to shoot at. And if you happen to be that person, then they're going to shoot at you. Now, you can't shoot back because all of their weight is going to be in guns, in armor, and in space propulsion. Whereas you need both atmospheric and space propulsion, you need to carry ore, you need to carry some armor. So there is just simply no possible way for you to shoot back. Also, NovaCorp, I believe, have said that dual boxing for PvP is not allowed. So dual boxing on 2 separate machines for industry or whatever else is fine, but specifically to kill people with is not allowed. I heard that from Marquis Dragon. I don't know if it's true, but if he says it, I trust it generally. So we cannot have, say, an Altavar sit in a gunner seat and have, at least one large railgun to shoot back with. We just can't do it. The largest guns that you can fit onto your own pilot chair is extra small, and you're just never gonna catch people in range of those guns. So also, because the PvP cubes, or even stylistically appropriate ships, are designed only to fly in space and to catch people while in space, they are gonna have loads and loads of engines and the ability to maneuver very carefully in space. So it's not really feasible for you to be able to outmaneuver them in a fight. The only thing you can do is try to get away. Now, suppose on a 3D plane, I'm coming from here and heading to here, so I'm flying in a straight line between these 2 points, and the Dread Pirate Coffee is here with his cube, and I'm heading towards him. He's going to be able to catch me. So I need to have radar to see that he's ahead of me. And I need to then start to turn my ship and at max thrust burn away from him. Or potentially I can try and do a big brain play and burn straight towards him, so when he's burning towards me, not noticing that I'm burning towards him, he'll only get a very brief window to shoot me from when we shoot past each other. And once he's moving away from me and I'm moving in max direction in the other way, he's not going to be able to slow down and change direction and speed up fast enough to be able to catch me. So it's all about trying to maintain and keep distance between yourself and the enemy ahead of you within a 360 plane. As soon as they're behind you, outside of your range, and you're going at 30,000 kilometers per hour, you're fine. Now, if they're super bored, they can follow you all the way to the planet, and because they can slow down faster than you, you pretty much have no choice left but to try and get into the safe zone and then slow down. And some people use the Alt F4 trick to try and slow down there. I wouldn't do that. That's against terms of service, I think. Or at least it's exploitative of the mechanics of the game. So, you know, please try to play fair. You know, the PvPers aren't breaking any rules unless they're dual boxing. Let's just get through this dark period where we have to try and live with PvP of this nature. So, Control I to go to my container. This is... No, we need all of our vertical space, so let's get this up off the ground. And there we go. What are we going to call it? Let's call the Zamburak, so we'll call this the Armored B. And let's start our story again. With the large container. Here we go. If I move it into place with my mouse button, and then press either left, right, up, down, page up, or page down, it'll engage the fine movement controls, and then my mouse no longer affects the element's placements, which is what we're looking for. So we're going to move this container pretty much as far as we can into the front of the ship. For now, we're going to move it later. So in fact, let's move it now. Let's get the core out of the way here. And then move this down quite a bit towards the bottom half of our little cube here. I don't think we need all this space. Let's see how much space we do need at the back. Yeah. So just for reference, I'm gonna move this as far back as it'll go, and then move the container to match it in depth, and then move this, pick it up again, and then place it in the middle here. Although we need to move this forward just a little bit. There we go. We want it to be straight, otherwise it'll clip through the edge. And also we want it to provide thrust properly. Now we're going to be as compact as possible. And so we're going to keep the flat end pointing inside. Is this in the middle? I don't think it is, but it'll do. It's close enough. And then, there we go. That's all lined up there, yeah. That's all lined up on this side. Are they nicely lined up on this side? Yes, there we go. And another one. You want the flat side in for now. It'll look less neat on the edges, but there is zero floofs given about neatness and looks in this build. It's all about function and surviving. You know, my main takeaway from that build video by Coffee Forever was, if it works, it's fine. You know, you don't need the ship to look good. If the elements are doing what you want them to do well, you're in good shape. So that's our engines. Now we can't really, I guess we could. We want to try and wrap our space engines in our atmospheric engines. If we get shot out in space and someone has a 10-second, 15-second window to land shots at us, we don't want them to be able to take out our propulsion system in space. Now, I have no idea if this is going to work or not, if there's, you know, splash damage, and so none of this matters in the end. But we're going to want to try at least to sandwich our space engines into our atmospheric engines. How's that going to work? We're going to pretty much get a large space engine and see what kind of space it takes up. We're going to actually place it for reference. Is there even enough room to place it? Yeah. Man, this is going to be tight. Right. So let's flip it around for aesthetics. So the red bit is pointing up. Right. Now we are going to try and make room for 2 of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And one more there. That wasn't exactly straight. Right. Now, let's get this right at the end. As far back as it'll go. And then as far to the left as it'll go. And then down into the middle there. And then okay, just move them out of the way for now. I'll move them back at the end. Man, this is gonna look awful, but hopefully it'll live. I don't have any iron honeycomb. I suppose I can just make some quickly. Right, so we're gonna, is that as far back? That is as far back as that can go. So let's get it sort of in the middle there. Yeah, that's fine. And then place the other engine too. That's fine, we'll flip it. So sometimes when you can't get it to rotate the way you want it to rotate, you place it first and then rotate it with the maneuver tool. So press 9 for the maneuver tool, and there we go. It's pointed in the direction we want it to be pointing. And there we have 2 engines placed. So let's move these back. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. That's 4. Now, one other thing we can do is try to add honeycomb up here and keep using engines below as extra protection for the space engines. So we move the engines into something. Hello, Pluto Jones. Welcome. Moving the engines to somewhere like this. And then, I guess, flipping these around a bit. Down here. There we go. So we've protected the engines from all but this direction, and we're going to put some honeycomb up here, or we can just sacrifice this direction. So we're not going to be able to protect the ship from every direction. It's just going to get too heavy, and we want our armor to be thick. So what I'm planning in terms of how I'm going to armor the ship is to have maybe 4 dimensions, maybe 3 dimensions that I'm going to have armor on. Obviously, I'm going to have radar. I'm going to see where the enemy is coming at me from, and I'm going to point my armor towards the enemy to tank the shots. Now, if I'm running a gauntlet, say I'm arriving into Luckybus because I'm silly and I haven't heard that there are gankers basically camping that planet 24/7, and so everything's coming ahead of me, I'm probably going to approach it side first and then other side first and try and tank the shots with my armor. That is not really going to work, but hey, it's a nice thought to have, so let's have it. It might work, who knows. Now, I'm going to turn this on its side a bit there, so that the flat ends are at the bottom and the top for when we want to attach our vertical boosters. Move it in. And there we have the basic fuselage of our ship. Oh, this looks even worse than I expected. Right. So one other thing we can do to protect the top actually is apply stabilizers. Let's get them this way. Now we don't need stabilizers up in space, so again, it doesn't matter if these get blown up by alpha damage. You are able to repair them before heading out. If you are traveling at full speed, you don't need any more thrust applied. You can just get out. Your ship will continue traveling at max speed and then refuel any tank you want and repair any element that you want. So let's get these lined up. Better go. That's 2 stabilizers. Again, we're going for stabilizers because this is an ore holder, and having more stall angle is very useful to us. So for those that have to see this ship out in the world, I do apologize for how ugly it looks, but think of it this way. The only time another player is going to be seeing this, unless you for whatever reason are taking your armored hauler out to the market, the only time anyone's going to see this ship is when they're shooting at it. So the fact that it looks so bad is just a tiny little FU to the gunner on the periscope looking at the ship, going, ha! And, you know, tiny little PvP effectiveness there. In fact, let's rename the ship from the Armored B to I don't know, should we be silly with it, like Gunship 1? Just maybe they'll think twice. I don't know. Let's go and have a look. The wings shouldn't interfere with one another. So we still have good high altitude lift. Is that good though? That's not fantastic. Let's have a little bit of a compare and contrast with this ship. High altitude lift 12.4 meganewtons from the airfoils. I know what we're missing. The ailerons. Do I have any ailerons? I don't think I do, so I'll have to go and buy some if I don't want to make some quickly. Yep, no ailerons. That's fine for now. We'll go grab some from the market and place them at the top there. So, we currently have our stabilizers, our engines, and our fuel, our canister here for the fuselage. Now, we need air brakes, 4 of them. We want to try and have them so that they do not add cross-sectional area to the ship. So let's have that open. We'll press Control H to hide that menu, and then move it kind of out the way so it doesn't interfere with us. And our cross-section is currently 128, and it's remained 128. Good. 128. And turn these around for the sake of symmetry. Not that looks matter in any way, shape, or form for this ship. So 128, 128. Cool. Cross-section remained the same. And we have our atmospheric brakes. Now we need to add our rocket brakes, large retro rocket brakes. We want 4 of them. We're going to go 1. Enter build mode, lift it up off the ground so we can work on its underside. Oh, that's not going to fit on the underside. Oh, that's a problem. Can I fit my vertical boosters on the underside of the engines? Let's have a look. It's okay, we can just lift everything up 1 or 2. Yeah. So, I apologize, this is just going to take a second. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Why are they suddenly not wanting to place? Oh, because of the air brakes. At least I hope it's because of the air brakes. Nope. Let me try moving these out 1 or 2. There we go. There we go. There we go. And there we go. In fact, I'll just pick that up for now. And I want this can to be on the same plane, more or less, as the engines. Right. So let's maneuver. Oh wait, that's plenty high enough already. Right. So back to where we were. The space brakes. One here. One here. One here. And one here. and then we'll put our atmospheric brakes back on. I'm not bothering with symmetry because as long as they're unobstructed, these retro rocket ones, they work. So symmetry is just for the sake of looks. And so here. So there we have our brakes. We have our wings. We have our engines. So let's go for vertical boosters next. We want one on each engine at the back. Pretty much as far back as they'll go. And in the middle there. And another one. Again, pretty much as far back as they'll go. And in the middle there. Right. And then we want another set here in the middle, but out to the sides. A little more stability while in flight. That'll do. And another one out to the side here. Now symmetry is important here, but that is symmetrical enough. Yeah, that's fine. For the sake of looks, I am going to move this back just a bit. It sounds so weird saying for the sake of looks on this monstrosity, but it is what it is. So, those are our vertical boosters. Ooh, no, they're not. We need two more at the front here. And we're going to go forward as far as we can. We're going to go out to the sides. We're going to go up a bit. I am going to move that space brake there. Unless, is it being obstructed? It's not, no, absolutely fine. So let's get the, I am going to select this one for symmetry though, because it was slightly strange in its placement. It went forward as far as it could and then went up as far as it could. So it's basically, yeah. There we go. That's the point of symmetry there. Move it in just a little there. And there we have our vertical booster. Now we're gonna build fuselage with a fuel tank here. Although, can I fit the space fuel tank there, maybe? Yes, I can. I'm gonna build fuselage with a space fuel tank. And again, I want to armor this, so I think what I'll do instead is move my space brake down here. And have my fuel and my cab where I sit here at the front. So let's see if they'll fit. This is gonna be such a tight fit on everything. So there's space, and I'm gonna connect them as I place them. So vertical boosters use space fuel. So they need to be connected to your space fuel tank. And then I'm gonna sit the core here in the middle. I'm gonna set my 2 atmospheric fuel tanks this way. So a plus-sized gentleman of my stature would not be able to fit here, but this'll do, I guess. All right. Right. Now, from the underside, we have... let's inspect this element. Or we can just look it up. Container L. So we have its resistance profile is fairly bad, about 0.1 on every level, but it's got quite a lot of hit points, 17,316. So we're fairly well protected from the underside. We are still, however, going to put a smaller line of honeycomb here underneath us. And we're going to build armor plates going up our sides, and then one extending above us, and then heading back into the engines a little bit there. So what do I have a lot of? I have black carbon panel. I have silicon painted black. Let's go black carbon panel. And now remember, hello Moldy. Remember we need to get the honeycomb with the best resistance profile. So let me just go here just to show you, let's say aged iron. It's got okay resistances, it's got okay mass and okay hit points per meter square. If I go steel, it's got the same hit points, much better resistances, and just a little bit more weight per meter square. So I think I'd probably go for steel. Let's go lithium, see what lithium... Oh, it's got... good resistance profiles, much less hit points per meter square, but also significantly, very significantly lighter per meter square. Steel again, so it's 5,152 and 80 kilograms. It's 339 and 5 kilograms. So given that we're constrained with space, we're going to go for heavier materials so to get more hit points in the same area. So I'm just going to build out a carbon for the moment, but I'm going to replace them with steel. And the way you do that, I will show you here. It's called the Voxel replacement tool. You select a voxel in your inventory, select an area of voxels on a build, and then you left click, and it replaces the voxels with the different type. So I'm just going to build out of carbon for the moment, although it doesn't take long to make honeycomb. Let's just quickly make some. Oh, I have ailerons typed in here. Nanopack, steel, let's take 2,000 liters. K, nanocrafter, craftable only. Materials, oh, control I to go back into my inventory. And let's go for black patterns, steel, there we go. I'm sure I had some of that laying around somewhere. Let's have a quick look. Oh, there, right there in front of me. Right, okay, fine. So, we're going to need a resurrection pad. In fact, we can just plonk that up top here, above our heads as we fly. Will that even let me get out? I don't know. Gonna put it down by my feet. No. I'm not sure how that will interact with the armor plates, so we'll put that on last. So double click to equip the voxel. I want it to be maybe, so this is 1x1, 2x2, 4x4. Yeah, okay, this'll do. Where do I want to start from? Out here, I guess. Well, first let's cover the top of this engine. A little further in. And then so this is 8 thick. Although that's going to be blocked a little now. Oh, I'm out of honeycomb. Still 17 seconds to craft. One, there we go. Here, and then is it here or no, it's slightly further out, like here. Drag it down to about there. And then just a bit more on this side. Okay, and then we're gonna lower the thickness of our cube here. Oh, we've changed materials for some reason. Right. Oops. Right at the corner. Yeah, this thickness will do. And then get it placed here. And is there a gap there? No. Turn on my light. There is indeed a tiny gap right there. That's fine. Is there a gap there? Yes. Yes, there is, Shamsi. Come on. Behave yourself. Ah. Right. Why is that going all the way out there? Ah. Wrong plane. There we go. So, this is hideously uneven and unsymmetrical. But let's see here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 squares here. 1, 2, 3, 4 squares here. This is the extra. So I'm going to get rid of it. There we go. Right. Now, we're not going to bother with doors and gates. This is how we get in through the front. And this is our armored little cap here. Now, I have no idea whether the area smooth tool will remove hit points from the ship. So if we look at the ship's report right now, we have 23 tons of honeycomb on the ship, which really isn't a lot. It's quite decent. Oh, we need to put on the the adjusters. It's really quite decent for what we're getting here. So I'm just gonna use the area smooth tool, which is number 4. And I'm not going to put voxels out to the sides to make it even smoother. I just want it to not be exactly a cube. I'm only going to tap it once, and I'm going to see what happens to the mass of honeycomb. Okay, one more. Right. So we're still in the cube. It's just, it's like slightly more curved, presentable cube. Our engines are vulnerable from this exact angle of attack, but hey ho, what can you do? I suppose I could just put a tiny bit more honeycomb right there. Not that that's going to do anything, but hey. And the way we enter and exit the ship is right here, through the front. So we're completely unarmored at the front. Now let's double check. This is completely obstructed now. I'm going to bring my vertical thrusters down. They are, I'm afraid, going to have to hover. By the way, the V key, V for Victor, is how I bring this menu out and put it back. Let's get these down to the bottom. And then we're going to move these down to be unobstructed. Where was the 4th space break? Did I have a space break up where this honeycomb is? No, because that's the top of the container. Brake force 18 meganewtons. Yeah, that sounds right. Where was the fourth rocket? There's 1, 2, 3. Oh, it was on the underside. Yes. And that is still unobstructed. Just move it a little bit. Right. Now we need to fit our adjusters up, down, left, right at the front and at the back. We're going for large adjusters. There they are. So, left and right. That's one. Let's find the symmetry point. There it is. Up and down. That's unobstructed. Selected for symmetry. Although I'm not sure these engines are placed symmetrically enough to allow that to happen. No, they're not, are they? So let's double check where that is. That's immediately below the middle of the engine. So immediately below in the middle of the engine. Unobstructed. Yeah, that's fine. So that's up, and then down we can put on top of these stabilizers here. That's one. This is terrible adjuster placement, I know, but it'll do. I'm kind of rushing because the video is getting to be a bit long. It's at the end there. It's at the end there. Right, that's up, down, left, right to the back. Then we have this nice surface to work with here. Huh. Does this work? Do they not obstruct one another? No, they don't. That's fantastic. Right, up, down, left, right. And then left and right in the middle. Right, that's the adjusters placed. So we've got, what's its issue? Oh, vertical stabilizers. Will they fit up here? Small stabilizers. Perhaps. Why won't it snap? Is it above the... Not really. A little bit. So I'm going to place them here. Cool. Cool. Right, we have a max speed, that's acceptable. We have a sustentation speed, that's acceptable. Well, it's actually very good. We have our adjusters. We have this adjuster that's blocked apparently somehow. Let's move it. in line with that one. Ish. See if that works any better. Ah, it's that's causing it issues as well. There we go. Should be fine. These two are completely blocked. Where am I going to put you? Does this fit down any? No. Right here? If it can fit, that'd be fantastic. Let's get the symmetry point. Not that I can get it symmetrical here. Oh, I can. There we go. Okay. I don't hate it. I mean, I'm a little mad at it, but I don't hate it. Let's declare this as our linked container for the moment. That's where I keep my fuel. And fuel them up. Ah, I can't fuel in build mode. I was wondering what was happening there. Okay, so far so good. Not bad, not bad. I might need to put a container hub to be able to access the storage on the ship, but that's no big deal. Am I already stuck? Yes. Okay, there we go, we're free. So where you exit the ship is meant to be where you enter it from, so I can access the container just fine through here. And it is still armored through there a little bit. So again, right click, flying construct auto configuration, advanced control scheme, direct control. Right. Let's take this out for a spin, though I am scared to. Let's go to market 17 again. So I've got my adjusters on, my space brakes, my air brakes, engines, fuel, everything that we need is here. Press insert. Go into third person view, hold down the brake, spool up the engines to full. And up we go. We are moving just fine. In fact, we are moving very fast for the ship. Okay, slowing down again, entering space. Let's get our course fixed. We're moving in that direction. We want to be moving in this direction. Our space engines are firing. We are falling. No, we are still climbing. But we are now accelerating in the direction we want to be moving in. and going to be climbing again in just a moment here. Oh, yes, while in atmosphere, keep your speed below 1050 if you can. Although we are about to leave atmosphere entirely here at 5,000 meters. As you can see, our ship is now moving in the direction that we want it to move in. And yep, I can stop braking now. Atmosphere is thinning to nothing. I'll increase height just a little bit. There we go. Point it down just a little bit before we stop burning. And then cut thrust, or we drift up and forward. So at around 40-ish kilometers from the target, we will slam on our space brake and start burning again. There we go. And now we're going to be burning forward and down while having our space brakes engaged, and we're going to go into trajectory view just so we can keep a live look on what is happening to the physics on our ship. There we go. We've slowed down enough. Let's speed up again. And now as we descend, we're going to be pumping our space brakes. We could do autopilot, but it's good to learn this stuff manually first before relying on cruise control. We're going to be pumping our space brakes. If you look on the right here, you can see my braking power jump up and down. We're gonna, as we enter the atmosphere, we want our forward trajectory to be already enough without our atmospheric engines to keep us upright. And we are entering atmosphere in just a little bit here. So our forward movement is fine. We are continuing to pump our space brakes to keep our speed in check so we don't burn up in atmosphere. We are now in atmosphere height. I'm gonna stop pumping for just a bit. And at 3,500 meters, our engines should take over. There we go, they're spooling up. But even before they spool up, we have enough power to keep going. Enter cruise control, maintain 1050, and we're in powered flight. So bring our engines down to about a quarter thrust. Start descending by pressing C, and then also pumping our air brakes. We are approaching this very high, so we're gonna lower our altitude just a little bit, and then lower thrust, start pumping air brakes again. Cut our engines, and we are under the power of our vertical thrusters. Let's move out of people's way here so we don't crush anyone underneath us as we land. There we go. Slam on our air brakes, hold C, hold F, and out we go. Okay, Armored B, I'm not mad. This'll do. Why not? So we have a little bit of armor below us. I guess we can thicken the armor below us. We have thick plates of armor to either side of us. This is where our primary defensive face is going to be. So we're going to want to be side on against the enemy, which works just fine for us because we want to be, if they are this way and we are this way, we want to be burning away from them, so they have to come at a diagonal to catch us and then try to turn and move away as much as we can. But remember, our maneuverability and our thrust is going to be terrible because we only have 2 large space engines, and the PvPer's maneuverability and thrust is going to work. Now, I don't recommend doing this. I don't recommend having an armored interplanetary mining ship that you're going to take out into dangerous space. My recommendation in how to avoid being killed is by using the Zamburak rather than this, and instead of putting 23 tons of armor on it, add 23 tons of something else here. Let's just have a quick look at how much a warp drive weighs. 31 tons of a warp drive, and then having a certain supply of warp cells. They're 100 kilograms each, so you know it'll take a lot more tonnage to lift, but it's much safer warping from safe zone to safe zone. So, as a postscript, we have gone and gotten the 2 compact medium ailerons that we were missing, and we bought our radar. So let's place all of those in. Have our atmospheric flight engineer report out for high altitude lift. We want these to be fairly flat. That way. Place them in the middle. One. And there's the other. So now we have another 2.1 meganewton high altitude lift, and our maximum speed is still very acceptable, and our sustaination speed is still fairly respectable. Now the radar. Control I to change inventory. I don't know what is the back here for style. Whether it'll be blocked by those wings. No, it won't. One forward, won't hurt. And then link tool. Link the radar to the chair. We've added elements, so let's run auto configuration flying construct again. And now when we enter the pilot's chair, over here on the right, we have space radar. And up in space, we would have an extra feed and a visual representation of the ships close by to us. So here is the completed Armored B. I hope you've liked this video. I found its contents useful. My original plan for this channel was to make a story-based channel in which I read short stories, public domain novels of science fiction and fantasy, play story-based games like Mass Effect or the new space RPG coming out from Bethesda, or Witcher, Skyrim, Dragon Age. that sort of thing, and I would read, but I'm also going to be making guides, more ship builds, more industry guides, factory setups, and just general playing of Dual Universe as well. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, I would invite you to consider hitting the follow button, or on YouTube the subscribe button, along with the bell icon to let you know when I have put out new content. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again on the next video. So until the next time, bye for now.